Good afternoon. Welcome back to Kevin Toll Reads. So today I have the book review of the novella Keller's Fedora. This is the sixth and final entry in the Keller series, so I'm able to check off that long-term goal of rereading the John Keller series by Lawrence Block. This book was published in 2016, and again is the final installment in Lawrence Block's character series of John Keller, the Hitman. This, in particular, short 80-page novella covers one job that Keller does. Dot, again, calls Keller out of the blue on the special phone that they have to charge and calls him by his code name, Pablo. And so, Keller, again, is working under the new name of Nicholas Edwards and living his life in New Orleans. And Dot calls him and says, "Hey, I got this job, but you're probably good." And Keller's intrigued. And so the job is in Baker's Bluff, Illinois. And Keller takes the Amtrak from New Orleans to Chicago to do a job. What makes this particular novella interesting is the fact that in most of the jobs, and if you read these books, you'll know, is that mainly Keller will have a face, a name, to go along with why he's in this particular place, so he can, rub that person out, so to speak. And this one, he has to do some detective work. And so when he goes there, there's several days where he has to figure out what's going on, etc. But it still has Keller being Keller. Like in the past novels, he's trying to navigate life of being a new father, being a philatelist, a hitman, and just being very ubiquitous and ambiguous and aloof to just the most mundane details in life. What I enjoyed about this book was obviously it's Keller, and I enjoyed that character a lot. And so, the whole thing about the fedora, and Keller does purchase a fedora right at the beginning of this book, but the hat is just kind of Block's way of time stamping him aging. Not that Keller's getting in his 50s or 60s at this point. He's still probably in his late 30s, early 40s. But it's just kind of showing that, his character is kind of going to pasture a little bit, I think, in my opinion. He's still heavily involved in stamps. I really liked, the mentions to Jenny and Julia. At one point, Keller calls home to check on how things are going in the home front in New Orleans. And Jenny answered the phone, and she answers the phone in Spanish. She's working on her Spanish, so we get to see that she's growing up a little bit. The relationship with Julia, his wife, is really, really well. Obviously, Dot and Keller have some conversation as she sets this up, checks in on him. He checks in with her. They talk about possibly having to give the money back because things aren't seeming to go the way. So I really enjoy that dynamic. And again, this being the last job, you just don't know how it's going to unfold. And towards the end of this, you really feel like this is going to be a bust, and he's going to have to just take the train home, and it's all going to be a loss. And Dot will finally have to send the advance back, which she just hates doing. And but then you learn kind of how things unfold, and I kind of like that aspect of it because it was interesting. Kind of like a caper that you just can't really see how it's all going to tie together, and then you get the reveal at the end kind of thing. I really enjoyed that. In terms of dislikes, obviously, the biggest for me, the biggest dislike is it's a novella. It's short. For being the last Keller book, I wanted a little more, maybe another tale, maybe another job, maybe something in the personal life dynamic thing that makes sense, maybe something a little confrontational. But it's a good ending. It's a decent tale. It just kind of fell short for me, especially when books 3, 4, and 5 were kind of really, really, really up there. And so, in terms of rating, I kind of, I gave this one a 3.8. This is probably my least favorite of the 6 books. And not that this is a bad book. It's just, again, it's short. You want a little more, especially knowing this is going to be the last entry. I think when Block is around his mid-80s, if he's, mid-80s, late 80s. I listened to this on Audible, and Lawrence Block was the narrator that did the narration for this. And it's, again, I knocked this out in an afternoon. It's really short. But I wanted to also kind of give you guys kind of a rundown of the different books and ratings. Book 1 was a 4.2 for me. Book 2 in the series was a 4. Book 3 was a high point at 4.4. Book 4 was the highest rated book at 4.6. Hit and Run was phenomenal. Book 5, Hit Me, was good. It was 4.2, really solid. This one was a 3.8. So on the average, a 4.2. So really solid series. I really enjoyed this. Again, knocking one of those long-term goals off feels really good. But that's a review. John Keller series by Lawrence Block, Keller's Fedora. The final entry in the Keller series, a 3.8. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I've reread the series. I hope you're having a great Saturday. I know I've posted a lot of videos, and I'm going to do my wrap up later this evening and put that out as well right before tomorrow I'm heading to Texas. So I hope you have a great evening. Enjoy your weekend, and I will talk to you all later. Thanks a lot. Bye.